Hey everyone! Yesterday we got Summoner Yuna in Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. I hope you guys saw me pull for her. I got actually pretty lucky. And yeah, today we are going to look at our latest premium unit. That is totally not premium at all. But yeah, what can Yuna do? What can she do? Let's find out. So the usual overview, base form, she's a support, fails miserably at that role, to be quite honest, and in her Brave Shift she is a light locked evoker, where she completely fails her role, but we'll get to that in a few minutes. At least the sprite looks very cool. I personally, I like the base form sprite a little bit more than the one with Valifor, but all in all, pretty good job on Alam's part. So let's check out the abilities. I mean, this is Pokemon style ability at its best. The actual global upgrades, let's touch upon them because many people are wondering what are the global upgrades. So one of the global upgrades that we got, super important, I'm being ironic, is that the knowledge of the staff Imperil 30% is not locked to EX plus 3 but EX plus 2, just like they did with the Rod Imperil on Aerith. For the Final Fantasy VII Remake, which was EX plus 3 only on JP, is now EX plus 2 for us on Global, so that's cool. And another thing that changed is that the Staff Imperil is available on turn 1 as compared to the JP version, where it's available on turn 3. Good stuff. There's only one current unit that really wants the Staff Imperil, and that is Luna Freya. But yeah. Maybe sometime in the future for Shuyu, who knows. Other than that, protected by the Remnant of a Dream, damage mitigation, physical magical for Aquatics and Fairy, 50%, can dual cast. And I'm not really a huge fan of dual cast stuff, I'll be honest. So let's zoom in on the passives. She has a lot of passives, although she doesn't need those passives in the base form, to be quite honest. And you will see why in a second. So she has Reaper Killer, 200% physical magical. Yeah, cool thing. Cool story, bro. Lots of passives, 200% equipment, or 200% double hands SPR, or true single wield spirit. Decent. And now I know most of you don't read Japanese. So let me just briefly translate this to you. If you summon Ifrit, you get 50% fire resistance. If you summon Shiva, you get 50% ice resistance. And when you evoke Anima, and that is the huge kicker here, this one reads damage up at 30%. So this is dark damage, physical and magical, up by 30%. That is cool. That is the one thing you want her for, actually, because Sephiroth likes dark amps. And apart from Reese, we don't have another dark amp field. This is our second, and it's the most potent one as well. Other than that, yeah, another one of the global upgrades was reducing the EX requirements of these passives. Nothing too serious. Then she has a little bit of magic, but no offensive magic spells, so why does she have True Double Hand Spirit? Probably for Curaga, but Curaga already scales very well, so more Spirit really doesn't do much here. You're almost topping off everyone with Curaga regardless. But yeah, she got Bar Wardaga, Bar Blizzaga, Bar Fandega, Bar Firaga. Those are the most important ones. Pretty much making Carbuncle not necessary on her, because she does have most of those gas spells innately, which for some trials, I'm saying, for Dark Visions or Vision World might be kind of useful. You don't have to necessarily put Carbuncle on her. It's nice to have, so to speak. But yeah, is she really a supporter in that role? I don't think so. I mean, the Brave Shift base form LB would say yeah, because it's 160 Reaper Killer for the party. But it's on a limit burst. We got Ling. She has 150 to the party. Yeah, it's a little bit less, 10% percentage points less, but it's readily available. But the huge kicker here is the second portion of the limit burst, which is a 30x increase LB modifier. However, please fully read that one. It's evoke LB damage. So that does not do anything for Sephiroth, for example. He won't benefit from this. It's also a 170x light magic damage with SPR scaling. So yeah, I guess, I mean, this is probably where her true double hand spirit or true single wheel spirit comes into play, but 170x on a premium unit, on a base form, no. This should have been, in my opinion, this should have been at least 300x. She's a premium unit after all. She should have premium stats. Alright, the Brave Shift with Valor 4. Retains most of the things, gains triple cast, has Energy Ray, which is a light evoke, 40x only though, so that's pretty laughable, and gains a Grandis, one-time use. Believe 280 spirit and 200 LB damage with 30% light amp. Like, let's just for a brief second compare this to Tifa and Sephiroth. Tifa and Sephiroth gain 300% attack, both gain 250% LB damage, and both gain 50% amp to their element, water and dark respectively. Why does Yuna get this shafted? Spoilers, the same thing happens to Auron. Auron does not have a 50% amp, Auron does not have a 300% attack buff, and Auron does not have a 250% LB buff. Why is Yuna a premium unit? Please, someone explain this to me, because she doesn't even have the SLB advantage, where you would gain attack or spirit, so this is absolutely useless. You need another support unit that actually is supporting, such as Cetra Aerith. Cetra Aerith does better than Yuna. She is such a failure in every single department. I'm just mind-boggled here, honestly. Like, who in their right mind, other than being a huge fan of Yuna, I mean, I know Wanderer is a huge fan of Yuna, so more power to him, but he also said in his poll video that it's irrational pulling for her, and I would agree, because based upon all of this that you're reading and seeing here, it's absolutely irrational to pull on Yuna, outside of being a fan favorite or wanting her for the Super Trustmaster, which we'll be getting to in a few minutes. So, when it comes to actual capabilities in being a support or a light evoker, she's a complete failure. And that is the honest truth here, it's unbiased. I don't have anything against Yuna. She was one of my favorite characters in 10, but the way Alam treated her is just a huge travesty in my opinion. And the bad news, they continue, right? I mean, she does have, retains most of her stuff from the base form, but I mean, look at the passives here, right? So in the base form, she had 200% true single wheeled spirit. Why? Who thought about, hey, she had 200% true single wheeled spirit in base form. Let's make this 150% in Brave Shift for no reason. Why would you nerf a unit in this on the Brave Shift, which is the better part? It's a trans shift and it's the worst part. Like, who does that? What goes through Gumi's or Alam's mind in that regard? I'm just speechless at the dumbness of this designing process for a premium unit especially. And don't get me started on her evocation boost too. Like, this is a complete joke. She has 100% evoke magic and damage innately. Like, this is on par, and now hold your horses, this is on par with Discount Princess Fina, who's probably over a year old by now. Let that sink in for a while, of how bad this is. You will never, and I'm guaranteeing this to you, you will never cap LB damage, evoke damage, and evo mag with Yuna, while also trying to cap true single wield or true double hand spirit. It's impossible. And that is the huge downside to Yuna. She will never be a valuable DPS on your team. She will always be that one person that should be benched, but for some reason won't be benched because she has that dark field for Sephiroth. That's the sad truth. And yeah, I mean, don't get me started on the 150 LB passive. I mean, she easily caps LB damage, at least something, right? But what a joke of a character. And it doesn't really help that her Brave Shifted LB light evoke damage is only 90x. With these bad stats, this should have been at least 150x. Evocation, spirit scaling. It's not. Even if it were 150 evoke spirit scaling, it wouldn't be a top spot. It would not be enough for the top 5. And that should be a huge warning sign to everyone. I mean, technically speaking, this is a 150 one because you can buff it from her base LB, you can buff it from the STMR, that's 150. But it should have been 150 baseline. Enough ranting, let's check out the Trust Master and Super Trust Master. The Trust Master is a materia, 30 evoke damage, and 100% chain acceleration. And I want to make this clear, this is not chain cap. I know many people will misread this as chain cap increase and think, oh god, this is so good, because it's better than SOS Lightning's STMR. No, it's not. It's something entirely different. Please do not get confused, even though the wording in the game is pretty bad. This is just chain acceleration, not chain cap. But in total, I am personally a fan of chain acceleration. It makes the DPS that are following the chain deal more damage. So this is, technically speaking, if you could incorporate this chain acceleration on two chainers, say Carton and Lara Croft, for example, the one who deals more damage, which is usually Lara Croft, you would give this on, say, Carton. Carton would then start the chain. It would start at 100 out of 300, and you'd be dealing more damage quicker, thus reaching the full 6x damage cap rather quickly and do more damage in the grand scheme of things, because you don't have to go from 0 to 100, for example. So yeah, I like it. I like the concept of chain acceleration, but with dual race boss types, it is sadly unlikely that we are going to be using a TMR such as this. The Super Trust Master, on the other hand, is one of the main reasons people are pulling on Yuna. It's the reason I pulled for Yuna. And for the time being, until Auron comes for physical DPS, this is one of the best accessories you can get. 55 attack, magic, and 60 spirit, and unconditional 50% LB damage. Now, the attack and spirit, this is my error. It's not Yuna only, it is a Tidus. All Tidus variants and Yuna variants only. So, excuse me for that mistake. I will edit this appropriately later in the video itself. And another thing that is pretty cool about this Super Trust Master is that it provides you a new ability for the unit that is wearing it, so everyone can wear it. It's Hymn of the Faith. It does both things at the same time, so it increases evoke LB mods by 30x and evoke abilities by 15x. But the 15x does not include limit bursts. So it's omega good for evoke DPS and super good in general for LB finishers due to high attack and the unconditional 50% limit burst. But like I said, we are getting Auron very likely next week. He has an 80 attack accessory with also 50% LB damage. And this is going to be our next best thing for physical DPS. But for the time being, for 1 week, so to speak, this is the strongest one for physical DPS. And for the very long foreseeable time, for any magic LB DPS, this is going to be the it item. Like Angela wants to have this, for example, if you can fit it in. But this is best in slot technically for Angela, for example. So yeah, pretty cool STMR at least. The Vision card. It's a premium Vision card, so you unlock it at EX plus 3, gain all passives and everything right away. So 125 base SPR, good stuff. 80% spirit, 100% fairy, killer, physical, magical, and 500 static SPR for FFX units. Now, while this card, I would rate it rather... or let me finish the first thought. While this card looks good on paper, it is technically not. And let me explain why. Firstly, it does not have LB damage. Now, for the most part, we are not using LB finishers for spirit units, right? So we do have Shuyu, but Shuyu is in dire need of global exclusive buffs or global buffs, which I'm very sure she'll be getting in February for Chinese New Year. But for the time being, there is no LB finisher other than Yuna herself that would want this card. One could argue, nobody could argue to be Aerith, because Aerith does not LB finish. So yeah, this is technically a very good card for Aerith because of the high base spirit, because of the 80% spirit, making it a little bit easier to cap, at least in that regard. Also has Fairy Killer, but I personally would prefer LB damage on it, especially for Yuna herself, such that you could use something else in her gearing, for example. And technically speaking, Yuna wants a CD Aerith's card, but this card, honestly, it doesn't really feel premium at all. When you compare it to the Final Fantasy VII crew cards, it just feels lackluster, in my opinion. Or compare it to Kresnik's card. I would rate Kresnik's card higher than this, for example, and that speaks volumes. Right, so here comes the damage calculations. I included the 30% Dark Amp now. So yeah, let's take a look at the Yuna build. I do have two Yuna builds. This is the build that you can do right now. And this includes the chain cap cloves, which are pretty good. You should use them because she only has 5x cap innately, so you need one source of the 6x cap, and the best one are the cloves here. Using Spirit of the Shinobi, which is Yoshikiri's card. This is Yuna. This is the 5-star or 7-star Yuna Trustmaster. You get the medals in the current Chronicle battles to upgrade this to +4. So this is using the +4 weapon here. The usual stuff: Originator Duty, Inheriting, and obviously using Aerith's card. Now, with all of that in mind, she is about 9,178 Spirit with a 400% buff. And as you can see, the whole dilemma is at the bottom. We are only at 160 Evo magic and 270 evoke damage. Are things looking better when we include different gear that is coming in the next few weeks? A little bit. So this is a Yuna build that includes a Coastal Frisia Super Trust Master. Now tomorrow I will do my monthly outlook for December. And spoilers ahead, Coastal Frisia is very likely coming next month. Meaning the mate STMR down here, or yeah, the mermaid STMR, I should say, it's mermaid. This is Frisia's STMR, increasing spirit true single wield by 200%. It's a cloud variant. After all, cloud 200% attack, powers 200% magic, Coastal Frisia 200% spirit, double hand or single wield. And that makes a huge bump, or gives her a huge bump in spirit, but you're sacrificing evoke damage. The upside is because you're gaining about 800 spirit. I lost my chain of thought for a second. You're gaining 800 spirit, but only lose 30 evoke damage percentage points, right? So you gain about 10% in spirit while losing about 8 to 9% in evoke. And that is a damage increase, especially because the spirit increase weighs a little bit higher in this case, or scales better than the evoke damage. And I should also note that I upgraded or updated the Terra build to now include Yuna's vision card. So this is an updated build for Terra. It's a new best in slot build. So 300 LB, 300 Evo, 270 Evoke. One could use Terra's own vision card for 300 all. However, that deals less damage. The damage you'd be losing isn't that big though. It's, I believe, 2% less she'd deal with her own vision card if you don't have Celeste's card. So the damage increase or decrease is minor, so to speak. But yeah, this is technically the latest and greatest best in slot build for Terra. And here is the damage comparison. So the units that are affected, because I think this whole screenshot here is way too overloaded. So I marked the units that change their positions, that are new in here, in colors. So as you can see, Luna Freya is the one unit that benefits the most. If I were to expand this list even further down the line, you would see that Luna Freya, without the Staff in Peril and without the Yuna STMR buff, would be below Terra on this. So Luna Freya pretty much doubled her damage due to the Yuna Staff in Peril and the Yuna STMR. But Yuna herself, as you can see, she is just barely above Terra. So if you just happen to get a single Yuna, I really can't differentiate anymore between Luna Freya and Yuna, you are most likely better off keeping your Terra, because EX plus free Terra, this is all EX plus free by the way, keeping EX plus free Terra is so much better than doing EX plus 1 Yuna. Trust me. And the damage difference between an EX plus free Yuna and EX plus free Terra with both current available best in slot is 1.655%. And truth be told, I don't think most of you or most of us will have EX plus free Yuna and EX plus free Terra at the same time. And that means if your Yuna, like mine, is only EX plus 1, Terra is the far better choice. Okay, now if you include Frisia's STMR for Yuna, her damage jumps just a little bit. It's also just so ever slightly. Yeah, I mean, I think we all get the grand picture of things, right? Yuna is not worth it. She's a premium unit, and premium unit should be at the very top, at a level of Avalanche Tifa or Sephiroth, maybe even Angela. I feel like Angela is more of a premium unit than Yuna is, to be honest. And yeah, she's just not. So in terms of raw damage, Yuna is definitely not worth it. And I mean, the numbers, they don't lie, right? She's just a walking dark field and Staff in Peril for Sephiroth and Luna Freya respectively. So how does Yuna fare in a meta? She essentially fails as an evoke DPS, as we've evidently seen. She's not worth the premium cost and doesn't feel premium at all. If any one of you finds something that actually would mark her as premium, feel free to tell me. I'm very curious to see what makes her premium in your opinion. I mean, yeah, the price is premium, but that's all about it from my point of view. The only two good things about her are the 30% dark field from Anima and the STMR. And yeah, the field amp will give her some play in Dark Visions and Vision World, but none whatsoever in Clash of Worlds. Coastal Frisia's TMR is boosts her damage significantly, although still not enough to be considered meta. And yeah, her evoke damage and evoke magic base stats are way too low at 100% passive. Should you pull? I really hope you guys saved your tickets like I suggested you to do, because she is definitely not worth the 60k pity at all. So if you're using tickets, I hope you get her, get the STMR, and call it a day. Or I know some people are using the half daily pull, which I still believe is a huge mistake on your end, but I will not tell you what to do with your Lapis, because that would also imply that I tell you what to do with your money. That's not for me to decide. But yeah, if you're doing daily pulls and happen to get her, get the STMR, call it a day. So yeah, or what I think is the best course of action if you're not fighting for top 50 or top 100 spots in Dark Visions or Vision World, you can skip her entirely, because at that point, why even bother getting the STMR to begin with? I mean, the STMR will only make a difference for the top 50 or top 100%. And if you're not fighting for those spots, I don't think you should be pulling for Yuna at all. I'll be really honest here. She doesn't really do much, or the STMR doesn't provide enough oomph to warrant spending all your tickets or lapis or even on her. So yeah, that concludes today's review. Sadly, not so good unit, and the story gets only sadder when we take into account that the worst unit the game has ever seen, even worse than Deleter, even worse than Night Deleter, is coming on Monday, and that's Albet Girl, or whatever she's called, Riku. Am I gonna do a review on her? I think I will, but it's going to be trashing her for probably straight 10 minutes. We all know the drill, right? Anyway, thank you all for watching. We'll be seeing each other tomorrow for Clash of Worlds videos, and this time for sure we'll also see each other for the unit prediction video tomorrow. So have a wonderful rest of the Friday evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you're from. Peace.